many decades, European football has been without a doubt the pinnacle for all of sport. The greatest players, the biggest names, the highest wages, and even the biggest clubs have all come from Europe's most iconic football leagues. But under the radar, amidst European football's years of dominance, the Middle East has been slowly plotting a remarkable assault on world football as we know it. An assault which has been years in the making, after a long spell of trial and error, has finally seen the Middle Eastern giants crack the code and present genuine competition to Europe's biggest football leagues. An assault that has seen them usurp the game's very biggest players from their respective clubs with minimal effort. But how did they accomplish this? And what did they do differently that led them to succeed where the Chinese Super League failed? Hello again, and welcome to another video. We're going to be taking a closer look at how the Middle Eastern countries have somehow become a homing beacon for many of Europe's best footballers. For close to half a century, the beautiful game of football has been unanimously dominated by European countries. The likes of England, Spain, Italy, Germany, and France have developed football leagues that have seen the best talents of the football world dream of playing for the respective clubs. And rightly so. These leagues have always somehow found a way to attract the best of the best with respect to global football talent, offering the promise of an international platform that few other sports could dream of rivaling. So, regardless of how good of a footballer a player was, he or she was never properly rated till they played in one of Europe's top 5 leagues. And perhaps no league garnered as much hype and fame quite as the English Premier League did. For many years, the EPL gained a reputation for its ability to price away the best football players from their respective clubs with high wages and exorbitant transfer fees. And by implication, it became the most watched football league in the world. So imagine the surprise when arguably the greatest footballer of all time, Cristiano Ronaldo, departed English Premier League's biggest team, Manchester United, not to go to Spain, France, or any of Europe's other big leagues, but to go to Al-Hilal from the Saudi Pro League. A league that barely anyone had heard of beforehand had managed to acquire the world's biggest football star ahead of many European and non-European teams. And while many football fans and pundits around the world felt this was just a one-time thing, little did they know of Saudi Arabia's bid to take over football. A couple of months later, in the summer transfer window of 2023, Al-Itihad, one of the big teams in the Saudi Pro League, came knocking at the door of another of Europe's elite, this time around in the form of Karim Benzema. Imagine playing for the biggest club in the world in Real Madrid, winning European trophies every season, earning hundreds of thousands of pounds weekly, and having the acclaim that being a one-time Ballon d'Or winner in Europe will give. Surely, given all these, nothing more could impress you, right? Regardless, the Saudis weren't shy, but instead boldly came calling. And in a heartbeat, Benzema answered. From relative anonymity in the football world, the Saudi Pro League now had 2 of football's greatest players in their ranks. And if you thought this was going to be it from them, you'd be wrong again. They were just getting started. Now, for many European football pundits and fanatics, the consolation of losing 2 of its biggest stars to the same nation was consolidated by the underlying thought that both Ronaldo and Benzema were past their prime and were just looking for one last payday before retirement. And that this method of signing players in their 30s was doomed to fail, just like the Chinese Super League. But less than 3 weeks after snapping up Benzema, the Saudis came back with a transfer offer worth 60 million euros for the English Premier League and Wolves star Ruben Neves. For many who might not know, Ruben Neves is a 26-year-old Portuguese international who plays for EPL side Wolverhampton Wanderers. Over the past 2 years, Neves has been heavily scouted by world football giants like Manchester United, and more recently Barcelona, which is a clear indicator of his footballing ability at the tender footballing age of 26. But rather than opting to join one of Europe's biggest clubs, Ruben Neves chose to join the Saudi Pro League. This was when the message became pretty clear. Saudi Arabia weren't just trying to build a retirement home for Europe's declining stars. They were building a new home for some of the best upcoming footballers on the planet. And in less than 2 months after this deal, the league had snapped up other European stars like Riyad Mahrez, Milinkovic-Savic, Saint-Maximin, Sadio Mane, and a host of other global superstars to further emphasize their mission to take over football from the Europeans. Still on the topic of taking over, if you're enjoying our videos so far and you want misfortune to one day take over the YouTube scene, do well to smash the like and subscribe buttons to stay up to date with our weekly uploads. Alright, back to the video. So given the sheer number of world-class players that have departed Europe for Saudi within this time frame, it begs the question: how have Saudi been able to pull such quality players into their league? Well, the short and long answer is the same 5-letter word that makes the world go round: money. For decades, the English Premier League has consistently topped the charts when it comes to spending in the summer transfer window, consistently boasting a transfer spending of over $1 billion every summer, which was considerably more than other big European leagues like the Spanish La Liga and Italian Serie A leagues. Through this, they were able to attract the world's biggest and best players to their league, making it the world's most watched league. So in many ways, Saudi took several leaves from this book and further amplified it into their transfer strategy. This was made possible after Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund invested heavily in their league, with reports estimating the figure that was invested in the league to be over $20 billion. It has been through this funding that many teams in the league have been able to price away many elite footballers, with wages that would have been viewed as out of this world just a few years prior. By splurging 200 million British pounds a year on Ronaldo, over 100 million pounds on Karim Benzema, 36 million pounds on Jordan Henderson, and even offering a mind-blowing 780 million pounds to try and lure Kylian Mbappe, the Saudis have taken the expression "putting your money where your mouth is" to a whole other level. But how sustainable could this method be? About a decade ago, there was a similar trend of aging European footballers making the trip over to the Chinese and Japanese Super League on highly exorbitant wages in a bid to increase the quality of their league. Players like Fernando Torres and Andreas Iniesta are just a few of the many who made the switch from playing in Europe to China. But eventually, this tactic of acquiring Europe's biggest stars began to fail. Following various new regulations from the Chinese Super League and the coronavirus pandemic, which hit China the hardest, this caused many investors with stakes in the league to pull out. And eventually, the money that was instrumental in attracting those players became a thing of the past. But given how much the Saudi government has invested into their league, and barring any unfortunate pandemic hitting the Middle East anytime soon, it's fair to say that this trend from the Saudis could be very sustainable in the long run. And who knows? Maybe the Saudi Pro League could inspire a new age of football in the Middle East and eventually become football's new home.